Hey everybody, it's Gina B. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a couple minutes since the last video. It just seems like my life is just as soon as I think it calms down a little bit, it just cranks right back up again. However, I have just finished another hardcover Carpetbagger journal, which I followed along with Nik The Booksmith's Carpetbagger Compendium book course. I will put a link below to her channel and to her Etsy store. So if you're interested in, which I highly recommend, if you're interested in purchasing one of those classes, you will not be disappointed in the least. She is brilliant. She is just, the way she teaches her classes, it's it's explained extremely well. She's funny. Easy to listen to. So yeah, I highly recommend it, and I will post a link to her below. The journal measures about 10.5 inches in height, about 7-ish inches in width. And the story itself is about a woman named Artymaze. And she was married to a man named Martin, but everybody called him Marty. And they had a granddaughter whom they raised for the first 13 years of her life. And so the image on the front is it represents Hattie lifting up her granddaughter onto this little dresser and letting her look in the mirror and telling her how beautiful she is. And the little bookplate below says cherish, and I think it's really important. It was important for me to put that there because I have learned, especially in the past couple of years, how important it is to cherish all the wonderful memories that you make with the people that are closest to you, the people that you love the most in your life, because you never know how long you're going to have them. So cherish every single moment you can with the people that you love and that love you. I also did a little collage here. I did a snippet roll by following along with Nik The Booksmith's tutorial on that as well. And then I cut the piece of snippet roll into the shape of a heart. I collaged some buttons. All the buttons, with the exception of maybe one or two that I made myself, all the buttons came from Hattie's vintage tin of buttons. And some of these buttons are like 100 years old. I used a basting pin, a quilting basting pin, safety pin, and put some beads on it. And so let's get cracking, huh? I'll tell the story. Hattie and Marty and their granddaughter lived in a little New England town in Vermont for many years. And out in front of her house, I will never forget, just outside of her living room bay window, she had the most stunning flower bed. Every year it was different, but every year it was absolutely gorgeous. One of the things she loved was flowers. So the front inside pocket is of some beautiful vintage lace with a die-cut flower and some leaves, and then a little plate up here that says this book belongs to, and whoever the recipient is can put their name there. This is one of 2 freebies from Nik The Booksmith. I made a little notepad with scraps of faux eco-dyed paper, jelly plate prints, coffee stain paper, etc. But on one side is a vintage library card of Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, which is one of my absolute favorite classic stories. So I'm going to put that there. And then over here is a pocket with some beautiful edge trim, and there's some like burgundy kind of sequins and some more lace here on the edge. Here's one of the tags. I really had so much fun making these tags, and if anyone's interested in a tutorial, I'll be glad to do it. Just let me know. Put post a little message below, and I'll be glad to do one. But the flower and the branch came from Tim Holt's mini tattered floral die. I just had so much fun making these tags that I made a ton of them. I also got the initial idea from another artist in the junk journal community, and I will do my very best to post a link to her channel as well. I don't know her name, but I will post a link to her channel. So here we go. This image I got from a public domain site. I believe it was pxhere.com. And there's no attribution necessary. All the images on that site are free. And this is one of the images that reminded me of a really big tree that had a tire swing on it. And it was directly in front of Hattie and Marty's house for many years. And then I just put this little word, memories, here. Hattie loved birds. And she would sometimes sit out on her front porch and feed the birds with old breadcrumbs and bird seed. But sometimes she would sit out there for hours. She absolutely loved birds. And then here's some index cards I just stenciled and distressed. And then there's more journaling spots in the back. And the word believe, because one of many things that Hattie used to say is, don't ever stop believing in yourself and in the good of the world, because there's always something good to believe in. So here we go. Stenciled notepad paper with a little decoupaged word notes. Some washi tape that looks like the burnt edges of paper, which I thought was really cool. Out in front of Hattie's house, on each side of a little stone walkway, was two ginormous but beautiful lilac trees. And then in the middle, in between those two lilac trees, was a white picket fence gate with a latch. And then around the whole front of the house was a beautiful picket fence, white picket fence. But there was lilac trees, and they were just gorgeous. So I put, here's the other freebie from Nik The Booksmith. Old vintage postcard. Again, some more scraps from different things that I've done. And all the ephemera has something to do with lilacs on them. And something else Hattie used to say, there's always something to be thankful for. And then I made this 4-slit tuck pocket kind of thing. The edges are distressed with black soot and then stamped and or smudged with aged mahogany distress oxide. One of the many hats that Hattie wore in her life was she was an incredible seamstress and quilter. And she had a sewing machine just like this one. And she used it right up until shortly before she passed away. So I found this digital stamp image either at Graphics Fairy or Old Design Shop, but I had to put that in there because it looks just like her old machine. Some more faux eco-dyed paper. These are the last of the ones that I did last summer. I don't know if you can really see how beautiful they came out. I learned how to do this from a tutorial from Jibid Neary. Again, I will do my best to remember to post a link to that tutorial as well. An old grocery receipt from 1916. Hattie loved autumn, everything about autumn. Trees, especially the different colored leaves, all shades of orange and the deep, rich reds. She absolutely loved autumn. It was her favorite time of the year. Again, different pieces of the snippet rolls that I made, and I made a side pocket on each side of the center of this signature. A little more of ephemera here. I made this button, another image from Mrs. Cogs, from a woman you know, hanging out clothes on the clothesline, because behind Hattie's house was this really long clothesline. And I can almost picture her just standing there, kind of daydreaming, hanging out clothes. And up here is a little snippet from fabric from Tim Holt's ticket collection line. I can't remember the actual name of it, but I got like 3 yards of it on clearance at Hobby Lobby, and it's gorgeous. Hattie loved owls. Owl decor throughout her house. She had owl pictures on the wall. She had her, you know, books on owls. So I had to put that in there. This gorgeous image of an owl here with some old postage stamps. But I loved it, so I had to put it in there. I made these tags. I made several of them. They're similar, and they're not exactly alike, but I made them similar. But the 4, you know, Hattie had a great story to her life. But the 3 things that she loved the most was she loved her home, she loved her friends, and most of all, she loved her family. And she always used to say, even the worst day can be made better by sitting at the big table with friends having a cup of tea. So that's why I did that. Some more eco-dyed paper, coffee-dyed paper. This image, again, came from a free public domain site, but it's literally almost exactly the way the front of and the white picket fence, exactly how the front of Hattie's house looked. So when I saw that image, I had to put it in. And another one of those tags I made. This one says embrace. So an old calendar Coca-Cola ad, because in the summertime, it was all about Coca-Cola. You know, when it was hot, it was all about Coca-Cola. So I made a little pocket here. Again, there's nothing in there. That's for the recipient to be able to put whatever they want in. Another one of those tags that I made. This one says inspire. I made this zip pocket, almost like a dress corset kind of thing. I learned how to make this from Artymaze. Some more stenciled coffee stained paper. Another edge here with the old lace and some beautiful edging trim. I made this one with, it's a side pocket. Again, it's for the recipient to put whatever they want in. However, I've been a quilter for years, but when I first started, one of the first quilts I ever made was what they call a postage stamp quilt. And it was literally sewing together 1 inch by 1 inch squares to each other. And it was a great way for me to practice sewing a 1/4 inch seam. And when you're quilting, that's really one of many important things to do and know how to do well. So I made a faux looking postage stamp quilt, and I used scraps from my marbled paper, dendritic painting on old book pages, jelly plate prints, but there's just little scraps of all that right there. Some more of the faux eco-dyed paper. I can't believe this is it. I have no more. I put I think the last 3 sheets of it that I had into this journal. I need to make more. I just need to make more. Then I did some decoupage here, and I learned this little trick from Artymaze. And then I have another floral die that I got at a charity shop. I can't remember the name of it, but I got a really wicked good deal on it. So, and I just love how the little pieces come together and make such a pretty little flower. So, before I go to the next page, Hattie, again, like I said earlier, Hattie wore many hats in her life. She was a wife, she was a mother, she was a seamstress, she was a grandmother, she was a quilter, she was a baker. But one of the things that she was very well known for was being the local fortune teller. And whenever whenever Hattie said, "Marty, put the kettle on," I knew that someone from somewhere in the world, a stranger, would be coming to the house, and Hattie would be telling somebody's fortune. So here's the little digital stamp of the kettle. And she never needed anything special or fancy to do readings. She used a regular deck of playing cards. So I got this image from, I think, Graphics Fairy. And then Old Design Shop, and an astrological vintage sphere with like a map of the constellations, and some ephemera with cards, playing cards. And this image was perfect because so many times I used to sit at that big table listening and being in awe of her. Because you see, that little girl, their granddaughter, was me. Yep, it was me. The first 13 years of my life were magical. They were interesting. They were fascinating. They were full of love, and I just learned so much from my grandparents, and they loved me unconditionally. So this is, in a way, in honor of them. But I was their granddaughter. I was that little girl, and I was in awe of her, especially when she did readings, because I got to meet people from all over the place, some from different countries. People would come from all over because she was really, really good at it. So again, this is the center of another signature. I left these papers blank because I wanted to still give the recipient some space throughout to write and do whatever they wanted with. A digital stamp of an old thread spool holder, which was really cool because my grandmother, Hattie was my grandmother, she had one just like it. Let me see how much time I've got. Okay, I'm doing good. So I did a autumn style fabric. It's 100% cotton, and I made a, what is it called? What do they call it? I'm at a loss. I can't think of it. I'll come back to it. My grandmother, Hattie, loved autumn, like I said, and she also loved birch trees. So I did a little watercolor painting because this would be the scene for her. She could sit there and look out to the mountains and look at the trees and the leaves blowing in the wind, and she would be completely in her glory. So I did a little watercolor painting. Some more. And then I did this little envelope here of a tutorial I watched on, got a piece of thread on me. This tutorial from Nik The Booksmith for an envelope. Of course, in the wintertime, like I think I said this already, but in the winter and spring, it was hot Lipton tea. It was nothing like sitting at the big table with her and having a hot cup of tea. You could be having the worst day ever, and she would make it better. And I did this little bulb pin with a charm of a heart because she had a great heart. And then there is, let me see, there is this. The inside is a little something. It is my mantra, but it was my grandmother's mantra in life. It was a poem by Max Ehrmann, and he wrote it, I believe, in 1927. And it was he called it Desiderata, which means things that are desired. And I'm going to try to read this really quick. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your career, however humble it is. a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtues there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of this universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful and strive to be happy. So I put a copy of that in there because it is my mantra. I learned it from my grandmother. I have a copy of it on the wall above my craft table, and I look at it and read it almost every day. So then I did this little word token from Tim Holtz, life, because she had a great life. She had a really interesting life, and I got to be a part of it. Always be thankful. So there we go. And then another one of those tags that I made. Beauty is everywhere. Some more journaling spot on the back. Another pocket with embossed stamped leaves in a copper embossing powder with some more of that lace trim. Little digital stamp of a clothesline, all kinds of things going on because there was always something going on out at Grandma's clothesline. Remember this moment. Another digital stamp of a house that looked very similar to my grandmother's. And then this basically is a collage that I did. Basically, it's who she was. She always said, always, always, always make sure you have a very sharp, good pair of scissors. It's a must. It was a must. She always had the best scissors. Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Dr. Seuss. My grandfather, Marty, he was right from Ireland. He was pure Irish. And she always wanted to go to Ireland to see where he was from. She never got a chance to do that, but I put that little Irish Airlines thing there because that was something she always wanted to do. And this is a picture, again, I think I got this from Mrs. Cogs, but this woman looks so much like my grandmother when she was younger, out at the clothesline. And there's a dog that looks, well, just my Smudge, my Chihuahua, is just a smaller version of that dog. Autumn is her favorite. And then pie crust. Her recipe for pie crust. She used to sell her pies at farmer's market and do very well. And then as years went on and I got older, I learned from her how to make those pies. And then I would sell my pies at farmer's market. And it was just the best pie crust in the world. It just really was. So there's her recipe there with some little textile collage thing down here in the corner because of she loved to knit, she loved to crochet, she loved to sew. So there's a little piece of her there. Looking out the bay window, feeding the birds. And then these pages right here, jelly plate prints, shimmer misted, coffee stained, stenciled. I've left some pages here for the recipient to just write or do whatever they want. Altered paper clip. It looks like the front cover of a book, but it really isn't. It's just a paper clip, but it looks like the front of a book. And then there's a side pocket here. Focus on the good. And then it opens up here to more secret journaling spots. And I'll put this right here. And then we go over. Ooh, nope. And then in the summertime, I used to put out these really, really cool, no, my grandmother used to put out those, you know those old lawn ornaments? There were pinwheels, and you stick them in the ground, and if a good gust of wind comes, it would spin around, and some of them would sparkle, and some of them with different colors. I loved those little pinwheels. So I found a little tutorial, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a pinwheel on the front of this little pocket. So that's what I did. And then I collaged a little button on top of some cheesecloth. I really like how that came out. And I'm thinking I missed a page. Where's that page? I missed a page. A very important page. Where is it? Where is it? Maybe it should just be for the recipient. Oh, there it is. Here we go. See? I did this on my own. I didn't follow a tutorial. I just wanted to put this together because I really, really liked this quote, and it really kind of embodied my grandmother in a way, because she always used to say things like this. What you leave behind is not engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. Pericles. And then there's some really old pictures. Some of them came from a box of pictures that I got at an old antique mall, and all the pictures said 1896 on them. And then some of them came from, you know, Graphics Fairy. Some of them came from my family, because I have like 5 totes of really old photos. So, I mean, it's a mixture of those, but I just really loved how that collage page came out. So, I don't know. You really got to look at it. There we go. Okay, so, and then we've got to the end here. Just a little bench with a hat that my grandmother used to wear in the flower garden. And then I did some slow stitching on top of some fabric and made a pocket and said, never give up, because my grandmother used to say, never give up. Never. Ever. Amazing Grace. That reminded me of a little girl when I was sitting at the big table with Grandma and Grandpa, and we'd say grace before we ate. Man, could she cook? So I gladly did whatever I was told, because she made the best food in the world. Oh, best food. And then here's some more tags. A cup of tea warms the soul like a good friend. Sitting at the big table with tea and Grandma. Always made things better. And prayer changes everything. Always. One simple prayer can change everything. So there you have it, people. Like I said, she is for sale, and she will be, she along with some other traveler's notebooks that I made are also for sale at my Etsy store, my new Etsy store. I'm so excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. So there you have it. If you have any questions, please put them below. I will do my best to answer them. If you want to see me do any tutorials, or if you're interested in something, I'll do my best to accommodate. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the flip through and seeing this story. It means a lot to me, and I just know it'll go to the right person. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. Bye for now.